Our journey began 3 years ago. Stauffer Middle School's instructional leadership team on campus consists of all of our PLC leads, administration, dean of students, counselors, coordinators, TTC leads, and any teacher that wants to come because everyone is welcomed.
The first item we looked at was test scores and PLC assessments. We worked as a staff to write down what items we thought our students really needed help with school-wide. We formed lists and posted these lists for all to see. We looked for common areas on the various lists, then posted several different focus areas and voted. It was decided that reading critically would be the most beneficial to our students.
As an ILT, we worked on creating a teacher and school formal version of our focus. Several teachers submitted their suggestions through Google Drive. As an ILT, we looked at the suggestions and voted on the top 3 and put out the vote one more time to the staff. That's when we decided that Spartans will read critically, communicate effectively, and strive for success. We started by adding that phrase to all of our emails and paperwork, trying to live the focus. Last year, we opened up a school-wide contest for students to come up with a student-friendly slogan. Students were able to submit their ideas on slips of paper, and the prize was a set of Beats headphones. Ideas were then grouped and presented to the ILT. The winning slogan was presented by a 7th grade student, Mario Rios, who submitted Read, Lead, and Succeed.
I came up with a slogan by first looking at it and trying to think of a catchy slogan for the kids to remember easily, one that would rhyme. So I looked at the students would read critically, communicate effectively, and strive for success. First, I looked at read critically, and I got out the word read. And then communicate effectively, I got lead, because communicators lead others. And I got succeed from strive for success. When I see really succeed all over campus, it feels awesome. I feel important.
Our first year, we moved along analyzing our data and finding the areas that we felt our students needed to be prepared for high school life. We read articles, had in-depth conversations, and voted on critical reading and communicating effectively. At the end of our second year, the ILT felt like the implementation of our focus was inauthentic and forced. Our staff felt like they were just going through the motions and we needed to stop and restart. Before beginning our second year, during the summer, the IL team decided to rewind and go back to the beginning and rework the meaning of read, lead, and succeed at Stauffer. We also decided we just needed to have some fun. We created a fun-filled day for the entire staff to get excited about our student-friendly slogan, and the teachers created commercials featuring what the slogan meant to them. And boy, those videos were so funny. We had a blast.
We're the editors of 4 newspapers. We listen to all our teachers at the same time. We invented writing. We read 20 novels in one day.
2, 3.
And when we read critically.
We can carry on 6 conversations simultaneously. Seats to our speeches sell out faster than a Taylor Swift concert. Shake it up! We wrote the Gettysburg Address while surfing in Hawaii.
At Stauffer, we always strive for success.
Stauffer is the most interesting school in the world.
So as we moved along the process of choosing the best practice, we first chose things we were already doing, such as writing our content and language objectives and academic vocabulary, which are all strategies we still use today. But the more the ILT started to think about it, we realized that was not truly meeting the needs of our students and our focus of reading critically. So as we got into the second year, we scrapped the original best practices and collaborated again in small groups. The turning point was after the articulation day with Warren and Griffiths. We realized how important annotating was to reading. The English department worked on annotating and started sharing with the other departments on ways they could annotate. It was then decided that annotating would become our official best practice.
The type of annotation that I use in my class is going to vary based off of whatever skill my kids are going to practice. So, for example, a fictional text, that annotation strategy will be different than an informational text. I also teach AVID, so I try and emphasize a little bit more of the Cornell notes in my class, Costas levels of questioning. AVID kind of promotes the Wicker strategies, which is writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. So pretty much in every single class, I try and hit on those 5 components in every single lesson, just so that it kind of mixes it up and it doesn't get stale, so to speak.
We annotate while we're reading through the textbook, highlighting special words. We talk about what vocabulary needs to be included, and we reinforce that by highlighting it in the question itself, but also what is the important information for math? What is it? 1 box in the grid equals 3 yards. That's important information for us to be able to solve distance problems later on.
Anytime we read a short story in class, anytime we read a poem or an article, we always annotate in there. And we annotate in different ways. I don't always use the catch method. I don't always have a particular method, but I want to teach the kids that annotating can be a part of their regular daily routine to break a text down and make meaning of the text. So I try to teach the kids that you can circle those powerful words or unknown words, or you can underline or highlight, but you always want to add your thoughts in the margins. If not, it just looks like a Christmas tree, basically.
As an English teacher, it's pretty easy to use best practices because it's annotation or note-taking and levels of communication, and I think annotation in English is pretty natural. Even though when I was growing up it wasn't something that was ever really taught, but it's something that you just do to organize your thinking. So having it as a focus so that it's going to transfer to all the other classes, I think it's really beneficial because it's that verbiage that's going to be heard in all classrooms, so that it's those skills that are going to be transferable, which is kind of what we want.
Students read something and respond to what they read. Consider what they read and write about it. And if you don't understand something, to consider the words around it, to consider the context clues, to go back to your prior knowledge, to maybe ask and answer a few of your own questions, because everything is not going to be easy. If the textbook is good, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be equal parts easy and equal parts demanding.
The work that my staff has put into the best practices has been amazing. The ILT decides what the staff needs to move the focus along. They have found a variety of best practice tools such as Catch, Cubes, and Race to provide every department with the ability to use the best tools for their style of teaching and for their subject matter. The ILT has also branched into using AVID strategies such as Cornell Notes and Socratic seminars to help facilitate annotation of the text, communication of the content, and the overall understanding of content.
In my English 8 class, for example, the students are responsible for doing ERWC modules, and within those modules, there's essential questions that really prompt students to think about their own beliefs and their own perspectives on a certain topic. By doing an AVID strategy like philosophical chairs or a Socratic seminar, I find that students that normally don't engage in classroom discussions as a whole, to create that structure where they feel like they do have an important viewpoint and their viewpoint matters, and to really come to their own conclusions about topics. I feel like that creates genuine learning and real life application that might not necessarily translate if they were just maybe doing a worksheet or something like that. But when they get a chance to engage with each other and learn from each other, I feel like that's when the real learning takes place.
It's so cool to see our ILT make decisions on behalf of the staff to help them become more proficient with the best practices and finding ways to get our focus out to the entire school community. We have fun here at Stauffer, and we work hard to ensure our students succeed, and that's why our slogan fits us. Read, lead, and succeed.
The second best practice came into play this year. It is various ways of grouping students to focus on communicating effectively. We refer to it as the 4 levels of communication. It's a way for teachers to make sure that we are changing the way students are thinking. Sometimes they work in a level 1, which is independent thinking. Sometimes they work with a partner, or level 2, or small groups of 3 to 6. Or you can have a whole group instruction or a large group where the discussion would be at a level 4.
I'm always trying to communicate with our students, and so we use the levels of communication, and I'll tell the kids, okay, right now we're at a level 2, we're at a partner voice. Just your partner should be able to hear you, not everybody else around you.
Currently, the ILT is finding ways to further support the 2 best practices, and PLCs are working on creating common formative assessments. One way we have supported annotating throughout the campus is creating posters and placing those in the Spartan Guide. Remember to get your agenda stamps. Also, we have many trainings that have been given on various ways that students may annotate, including catch, cubes, and the AVID strategy of Cornell note-taking.
As our school attempts to adopt the AVID strategies on a school-wide level, we're seeing a lot of success with the students that are not even in AVID as they're practicing how to organize notes and how to sort of use those notes as a study guide so that those the things that they're doing in class really become a resource for learning. And it sort of goes beyond just the classroom, and it really holds them responsible for their own learning, and it sort of personalizes their learning so that it's focused really on them and what they get out of a lesson.
One thing I love about our school-wide focus and our best practices is they connect so well with the district's mission statement, and then AVID's mission statement, and our mission statement, and all of that, like college and career ready, all of it ties so neatly together, and it fits so nicely. So being an AVID teacher, I have the AVID elective, and an English teacher, I'm able to utilize those best practices and really focus on our school-wide focus on a regular basis. And I talk a lot about AVID with my English kids, and I use a lot of my AVID strategies, Cornell notes, chunking, marking the text, all of that stuff. Those are skills that I think can be used in all core classes, not just English, but I think I love it. I love that it all fits so nicely together.
In math, we incorporate the GATE strategies in a few different ways. One is that we do a lot of pre-testing and moving forward. Those kids who understand the strategies shouldn't have to listen to the instruction. They should be able to broaden their knowledge base, do some more performance tasks, do a little bit more individualized or differentiated activities. The second GATE strategy that we use most often is that when we are reading a performance task, we are classifying. What does that have to do with money? Okay, how can that money be used? Also, then when we're reading this problem, how does that apply to money? So we're using our icons and our strategies of the big idea. We're using the trends and patterns of money. So we're not just doing problem by problem, but we're using those GATE strategies to show the bigger picture. And what do I tell the students all the time is, how is math used outside of room 47? Math doesn't only happen here.
Currently, we're working on marketing and branding. We've added Read, Lead, and Succeed to our classrooms in many forms of magnets and onto our agendas, our best practice posters, all have the school focus embedded in them. We also have banners in the cafeterias and hallway and on the fence in front of our school campus. Students have pencils and we're working on getting them pens. Our Spartan Guide was revamped this year, so it has a lot of our best practice posters, and the student-friendly model is also on there as well.
This is my first year at Stauffer, and immediately upon arrival on this campus, it was very, very clear what the school's focus was. Read, lead, succeed was everywhere. Reading critically, communicating effectively, and striving for success were things that I heard over and over again, probably 100 times in my first 2 days of working at Stauffer. So I was really impressed at how ingrained into the culture the school focus is. Reading, leading, and succeeding. For me, as an outside member, as a new person to this school, I was curious as to what reading critically, communicating effectively, and striving for success actually looks like in the classroom. And so within the first week of school, students and teachers are talking about annotating text, about using the catch method, about the 4 levels of communication. And it was something that I saw in every single classroom. So again, I was really impressed that nothing about the focus was staged or inauthentic. You could walk into any classroom at Stauffer and see teachers using the levels of communication, using catcher cubes to annotate text, and just watching students interact with text and interact with what they were reading and how they were learning was really impressive and awesome. I think sometimes there's a misconception that reading critically means I'm going to walk into a classroom and every single student's going to be highlighting a textbook or highlighting an article. That's not it. There's more to it than that. It's using Cornell notes to ask questions. It's using AVID strategies, Wicker, to come up with main ideas and summarize what the article or what the textbook is trying to say. And so again, at first I thought, okay, kids are highlighting, that means they're annotating text, but it's so much deeper than that. And even walk into a 6th grade English class and ask the students, what does it mean, or what are you doing with your text right now? And they can show you. I mean, they're highlighting, but they're making notes, they're summarizing, they're asking essential questions, they're answering essential questions. And it's very, very clear that the focus at Stauffer is a living, breathing thing. Our kids don't just walk around saying, read, lead, succeed, they actually do it. And I'm so proud to work at a site where it's authentic and what we're doing is real.
Read, lead, succeed. Read, lead, succeed to me means reading, critically reading and annotating the text. Lead to me basically means, I think, being engaged in class necessarily, having an example for other students to follow. And succeed, I think, is the outcome of doing those 2 steps.
Read critically in my classrooms, communicate effectively when working in groups, and lead others by example.
You need to read to gain knowledge. With knowledge, you can lead people, and when you lead, you succeed.
Reading and leading helps me succeed in life.
In math class, we use cubes, and in English, we use catch.
I do annotate in my class every day. The catch method is something I use often in language arts, science sometimes, and a lot in social studies. Cube is a method I do use. My math teacher does go over it, and I think it does help me get a better grasp of what I'm learning in class.
We mostly annotate in our English class with Article of the Week. We take notes on the side, and we put our notes on our thoughts also.
In reading and language arts, we do a lot of reading. We have to read to gain knowledge, and then most of the time we do group work, and we have to do once we read the question, we have to lead other people, and once we lead, we succeed in solving a task.
My goal is to go to Harvard Law and become a lawyer.
I definitely want to go to college. I want to go to UCLA because they have a good medical field and I want to enter the medical field.
My goal is to struggle and succeed.
I want to be a computer engineering major at Cal Poly.
My future goal is to go to UCLA. I think my goals are to get into college, of course, and I think from there I just want to keep striving. I just want my goals to get higher and higher to a point where I can just be happy of what I've done in life.
Our goal this year is to work on our assessments in each of the PLC teams and analyze the data to better support our focus. We are moving along and making great strides in creating our data wall and communicating to our students how they can improve their reading comprehension and critical thinking skills. I would have to say our focus is alive and growing at Stauffer Middle School.